All right, Bart Ehrman, thank you very much for joining me. Today, I'd like to talk about an important development in biblical textual criticism, and that was Džon Mil and his work on the 100 manuscripts that he had access to. He found 30,000 variants in those manuscripts. Is that correct?
He found a lot more than that. The ones that he printed were 30,000.
So who was Džon Mil and how did this work come about?
Džon Mil was a scholar in Oxford who was a textual expert. When publishers had to print the New Testament, they had to choose which words to print for every verse, and they had to base this on manuscripts that had come down through the ages. Most of the printers of the Greek New Testament were simply following a form of the text that was produced by Erasmus in the 16th century. So in the early 1500s, Erasmus produced his text of the New Testament, 1516. Scholars have been discovering manuscripts since then, and scholars who are studying these manuscripts realized that a manuscript they're reading, a handwritten copy made centuries earlier, in places disagreed with Erasmus's text that he had printed. And Džon Mil was aware of this as a scholar, and he decided to start looking at manuscripts. And he started realizing that, in fact, there were lots of differences. And he decided to print a New Testament that would give on a page, there'd be a few lines of the Greek New Testament at the top, like a verse or two. And then at the bottom of the page, he lists places where these manuscripts were different from each other, where they had different wordings. And so he was this Oxford scholar that spent 30 years producing this edition. It came out in 1707, and he died about 2 weeks after he published it, but it caused a huge furor because he quoted 30,000 places where these manuscripts were different from each other.
People accuse Džon Mil of attacking the Bible or attacking biblical faith in his time. You said that he died just 2 weeks after he published this work, so he wasn't around to defend himself. Some people came to his defense, though. Can you tell me about this conflict that happened over his work?
Yeah. So what happened was he publishes this thing, and he thought he was just kind of helping out the world, because he's just pointing out, we need to figure out what the words were, because you're all using this printed Greek New Testament, but we have other manuscripts that actually word it differently, and you got to decide which ones are original. If you're interested in knowing what the words of God are, you better figure out which words are the text. And so he thought he was doing the world a service. But when people got this thing, and when scholars got it, of course, this was just in the high-level scholarship, people could read Greek and Latin. He produced this, the book itself is in Latin, and the manuscripts are in Greek, and so you got to, it's only for scholars, but these scholars started reading this, and people started to say, whoa, wait a second, that's a lot of textual variation. There are 30,000 places? What? And some people said that he was trying to instill distrust in the Bible. He was trying to ruin the Bible's reputation. And so especially kind of 18th century predecessors to modern fundamentalists were saying, this is wrong. It's like a book burning. We need to burn this book. This is crazy. You can't have somebody telling us all this. And so you have these people saying, he's trying to make the text of the New Testament uncertain. That's not good. And his supporters are saying, wait a second, he didn't invent these 30,000 places. He's just telling us they exist. And if you don't think they exist, just read the manuscripts yourself. You'll see they exist. So are you preferring to be ignorant? And so it became a big controversy between whether it was, what to do about all these 30,000 places.